She is such an incredible person. I knew I wanted to meet her the second I heard about her. She's gone through a lot. She's now an intuitive mental health counselor, a gifted psychic, a medium with a master's in mental health counseling. Her name is Laurie Reddington. Laurie, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, Amanda.
I love you. I
Well,
love your story.
thank you. Well, my story actually starts on the mountain in Sedona. It didn't start with the actual near-death experience itself. It started when I was hiking on January 1st in um hiking up Bell Rock. I was tooling around the mountain, and I had a Walkman. That's how long ago this was. I had a Walkman and I was listening to Native American tunes, and just slowly going up Bell Rock and listening to Native American tunes and meditating. And I had my first out of body experience with that music. And I just sat for a while and then let the breeze blow through me. And then I decided to climb down. And of course, I broke all the hiking rules and went down a different path than what I went up. And I got stuck. I was supposed to instead of trying to go down that same path that I went up, I got stuck between a ledge and a, a place that I could actually go down. And there was a 15-foot drop. So I was stuck there, and I prayed. I couldn't think of anything else to do at that point. And along came a father, a son, and um um a teenager, and they were going to help me down the mountain. And so they basically, I went to turn around to lower myself down, and I flew off the mountain, and I broke my leg in 7 different places, and I had a cast on. At the time, I was a director of sales and marketing for hotels. And so I went back to work, threw my leg up on the desk, and kept working. And, I was praying for time off from work, and that's what you get when you pray for time off from work. I got my time off from work a couple days, but ended up going back to work. And um, after that, I had the cast taken off, went back to work, and then was diagnosed with a diseased gallbladder.
Hmm.
So that year, I had a diseased gallbladder, a broken leg in 7 different places, and then went back to work and was having whining and dining a client in the dining room, and then doubled over in pain and was rushed to the ER. Um, but rushing somebody to the ER in Sedona meant driving up 89A for 2.5 hours to get to the emergency room, because there is no emergency room in Sedona.
Ugh. Wow.
So when I got there, basically what I found out was my pancreas was inflamed, and it was growing and growing and growing and growing. And so I was hospitalized for 2.5 months, Amanda, with this pancreas just growing and growing. And if it grows, it grew the size of my pancreas. And if it bursts, you die.
Ugh.
That's all there is to it. So I had catheters feeding me on my left side and my right side underneath my collarbone. And so, um, of course, I had intravenous feed, and I lost a whole bunch of weight, and that was all good and fine. I didn't have very many visitors. It was between me and God, basically, at that point. I had I was a director of sales and marketing, and I didn't know I was Catholic, so I didn't necessarily, know much about any other religions or anything like that. So when what happened was that I got an infection that ravaged my entire body, and I was running 112-degree fever. And
How do you
they
live through
told me,
something like that?
yeah, they basically told me that I wasn't going to live through the night.
Oh,
Yeah. So they called in a Catholic priest and he gave me last rites.
oh my gosh.
And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, soaking wet in a sweat, and they rushed me into surgery. And it's kind of graphic, but what they did is they sewed my stomach to my pancreas and pumped the cyst that I had in my pancreas through my stomach and up my throat and out my nose. I know, isn't that gross?
It's nuts. Oh my gosh, that is wild. I didn't even know something like that would have been possible.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Pele, bless his heart, I think he's retired now, saved my life.
Oh my gosh, that's
God bless him.
crazy. Yeah.
And during
Kind
that time, I was greeted by three spirits.
of like Charles
I
Dickens in A
left,
Christmas Story.
right, something similar to that. I left my body, and the three spirits, the first one told me that I needed to change everything about my life, that nothing in my life needed to slightly resemble anything like it did before. The second one told me that I had a higher purpose on the planet, which I had to question what was my higher purpose.
Yeah.
And the third spirit, which resembled Our Lady of Guadalupe, who
Mm,
I'd never really heard of, who Our Lady of Guadalupe was, so I had to research that. Which Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexican is our like Mother Mary,
right.
right? Um, Basically told me that my purpose on the planet was to return people to love.
Oh,
So basically, um, I came back into my body. They sewed me up. I have a scar that is from my belly button all the way up to my chest. And I had a 6 month recovery. Um, I had I had left my ex-husband, and I was living in a trailer down at Oak Creek. Um, it was a purple trailer overhanging the creek, and I had found it um when I left when I had left my husband that was drinking at the time, um and found that there were baby eaglets that were nesting right there on the creek. So there was a sign that I was supposed to be there.
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, it just so happened that there was a man named Stan Matrunik that was a psychic for 50 years that
Wow.
lived next door. And his wife, Jackie. Um, and he trained me. He said, "Don't you know that you're psychic, Laurie?" And I said, "No, I didn't know that." And he's like, well, you are, and I'm going to train you to do this. And he basically trained me to use runes. I started with rune stones. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them,
Mhm.
but
This is
I
something
started with,
that's very common in Celtic history. So
yes.
I spent some time, I lived in Scotland for a little while.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Fascinating. Um, they're beautiful stones, and when you're empathic, you can hold them and you can get intuitive impressions from them.
Wow.
Um, and I started with runes, and then he also trained me on the tarot. And I also trained for 10 years under a master tarot reader.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with all
Um,
of that going on, were you doing that during your recovery, during your 6 month?
during my recovery, not the 10 years, of course, but during
Right.
the 6 month recovery, yes.
Yeah, that's when you kind of got started
Um,
with it. Rather than going back to the corporate job, you're like, no, I'm done.
right. I changed everything about my life.
Love that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I also decided to research about finding out about getting my master's degree.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Very cool.
And yeah. So basically it took me 6 years to get my master's degree
Mhm.
because I had a traumatic brain injury.
Right.
And but I did it.
Wow. I mean, that's not
And
easy for anybody to do, but especially when you're trying to recover from something like that. TBI is
right,
no joke.
right,
Yeah.
right. I had a traumatic brain injury when I had a bus accident, which is a whole nother story in itself.
Wow.
Yeah,
My gosh. You've been through it, lady.
I have. Um, so basically I've had a traumatic brain injury. I had this near death experience. I've had seven. This was my seventh near death experience out of nine.
Goodness. Wow. So, with everything that you had to go through, what did you find in your life that was the most helpful for you in your recovery?
I think that my support system um, was the most important thing. I had my family in Sedona, my brothers and sisters, I call them my family, Sandy and Lucy and Effie Pappas are my closest friends in Sedona, were there to support me, and my ex-husband, which is more like my husband now. We,
Oh,
yeah, and my daughter Sarafina.
oh. So you and your ex-husband actually rekindled after all of this?
Yes,
Oh my goodness. Any plans to get remarried?
we got remarried spiritually.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love this kind of happy ending. That's so cool.
Yes,
I love that you
yes.
guys loved each other so much that even though you found differences and separated, you still ended up back together.
45 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. So tell me a little bit. I know you've done a lot of work and you've got a blog and you've got your whole business practice and everything that you've got going on. Tell me a little bit about your blog. What inspired you to start it?
Well, the blog itself basically covers um not only my story but other people's stories that I find inspiring. And I also joined the International Association of Near Death Studies,
Wow.
and um, they are the only peer-reviewed studies. There's actually 38 of them um,
Wow.
that I have the journal coming right now. Um, that basically I'm reviewing the ones that were free, But I'm researching and researching and researching the long-term effects of what happens with people, and also giving inspirational thoughts, um, on um, for people on a daily basis. I mean, on a weekly basis every Sunday, um, because I think people just need to be uplifted rather than having um, religious things shoved down their throat every Sunday. You know, spiritual, uplifting thoughts were is what I like to post on my blog.
So your blog is available on your website, of course, which is intuitivementalhealthcounselor.com. It is kind of long, so pay attention when you're typing that in, anybody. I will also make sure that I include this in the show notes too. So when you're done watching the episode, you can go down and see that website. You can see the SedonaSacredPaths.com website, which I want you to talk about that one here in a second too. The LinkedIn and the Instagram links, all of this stuff is going to be available so people can check it all out. But what is Sedona Sacred Paths about?
Sedona Sacred Paths is about doing tours in Sedona with me, personal tours. And basically what that means is that you get an insider's view of um going to places that are not available on the tourist map, and
Oh,
being able to channel at some of these places your own personal guides, and the stories that go behind Sedona, and the herbal, medicinal, and edible plants, and the history and the
wow.
geology of Sedona.
And have you always had a passion for Sedona and its history like that?
Yeah, well, I lived there for 17 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know Sedona inside and out, and I like to take people on like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday when it's the slowest up there, because, it really has become very, very overrun with people, which
Yeah.
is sad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad, but it helps you in a way, right? As long as they're hiring you to be their guide.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing that?
Well, for 20 years,
My goodness.
basically I started when I had the near death experience.
Wow. That is really cool. What is your favorite behind the scenes story of Sedona? I'm a huge history fan, so forgive me for going off on this tangent, but I want to know.
Well, I had an experience with a woman that was really amazing. She was afraid of heights, and I took her to what I call the top of the world, which is one of the places that you can't really get to without a Jeep or a four-wheel drive. And
Mm.
I have an SUV. There's a trail that you can go up, um, and it goes up to the top of Sedona, and lightning struck, and right when we got to the top, and she jumped out of her skin. And she said, I'm afraid of heights. And I said, I know, that's why I took you here. And she said, I'm no longer afraid of heights.
No, now she's afraid of lightning.
But she said, you cured me of it. So I think that was my favorite story.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with her?
A lot of people know, but it's a lot of people I've become friends with.
Yeah.
So it just varies. It depends on the person. Um, that I've got maybe a dozen people that have stayed in touch with me and become friends, and others that got the experience, and that's all they really needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your job titles. What does a mental health counselor who is an intuitive mental health counselor do?
Well, a mental health counselor will assess what your problems are, um, will come up with a treatment plan, and then come up with the steps to implement the coping skills, and the therapies that are necessary for you to overcome your ongoing problems as well as your immediate issues, and help you with situational things, and keep progress notes, refer you to a psychiatrist if necessary, also refer you to a medical doctor if necessary, keep clinical notes, report to the state if necessary, that kind of a thing. That's what they do. When you're intuitive, what you add to that is that you're able to not only you're able to get to the core issues quicker, and you're able to empath with the person, and it it makes it so much more personal. It makes it feel so much more tender
Yeah.
and kind and compassionate.
Yeah. I think a lot more people need that in their life. Yeah. And do you work with people remotely or do you work with people one on one in person?
Both.
Oh, I love that. So people can reach out to you through your website if they're looking for services, specifically like what it is that you're offering.
Right, right. And text me.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of your contact information is very easily accessible on your website. So,
Yes.
yeah. And I,
Yes.
I love that. So the people that are actually needing you can reach you. This is important. A lot of people try to hide all of their contact information. No, you have to make an appointment. You do that through email and
Right.
make it
And
easy for
I'm
people.
in North Phoenix, so I'm accessible from Scottsdale. I'm accessible from downtown Phoenix, Peoria, um, that general area. Um, and it's really not too far from a lot of places, but
Yeah.
all over the country if you can do remote, really. I've got clients from Canada, I've got clients from Japan. Um, you
Wow.
know,
You're
yes,
international.
yes, I'm international.
Very cool. I love
Yeah,
that. I might have some people I'm going to be sending your way here shortly. Because I had somebody ask me just the other day if I knew of a good counselor to be able to help them out. Now I do. So,
awesome. Thank you, Amanda. I would love that.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I'll reach out to her and let her know and set her up with your website and your contact information. When it has
Great.
come to
Now
that part.
I've lost 76 pounds, so
Oh, my
I
goodness.
might have to I might have to update the pictures on my website soon.
That's amazing. Was that on purpose?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, that's
Yeah.
a lot of weight. I'm
Yeah.
kind of on track to try to do the same thing before the end of the year. It gets to be more of a struggle as we get older, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was basically just portion control and exercise, a lot of walking.
Yes. Yep. My husband, after my begging him for months, he got me an elliptical machine and I've been getting on that and watching a movie while I'm on it every day. So I'm on that thing for 2 hours.
Oh,
Hopefully this
that's
will help a lot.
great. That's great exercise. Lots of good cardio.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's come to that point in the episode where I have to ask you my last question, but it's my favorite
Okay.
question. And your answer can be
Okay.
different based on how you're feeling today or what you felt like yesterday. You never know what it's going to be. So, what is one thing that you really love about yourself that's not related to your physical appearance?
Oh,
It's a hard one.
um, wow. I love that I am compassionate and endearing to people. I love that I'm able to help so many people.
If you've enjoyed tonight's episode, please make sure you check out the episode description. You'll find links there on how you can learn more about this guest, links to connect with them on social media, and how to support the podcast. Remember, I don't get paid to do this. My boss is a bit tight fisted, but I can say that. I work for myself.